And it really is a beautiful day. I've woken up to glorious sunshine and walked just a little way from where I was staying in the Sampson Inn after a very good night's sleep. And I'm crossing a little burn that runs down into the River Irving, and so is crossing towards the Irish Sea in the west. And any sadness I had about leaving the rugged limestone landscape of Northumbria has disappeared, and I'm really looking forward to the day ahead of me. And my day starting with Poltros Mile Castle, one of the best preserved mile castles along the entire wall trail. And it's big, it's huge. I've passed lots of mile castles, and when they say it's the best preserved, I believe them. You can see so much here. I've passed quite a few mile castles over the days that I've been walking the wall. In fact, I've passed more mile castles than I've walked miles, and that's because Roman miles are shorter than imperial miles. They're based on the principle of 1,000 paces. 1,000 milli, as in millipede, and millennium, so millium, 1,000 paces, mile castle. And they were built after the wall itself was built. They were built as fortifications at a later date. But one thing you really get to appreciate walking along the wall is how these mark the way for you, how you go so far and you pass another one and another one and another one. And for a walker, that helps you to judge the progress you're making. And for the Roman soldiers, I suppose it had the same impact, except for them, they weren't doing it for enjoyment, as I am, and as many of you will. They were doing it because they had to. So perhaps they weren't quite such pleasant things to have to think about. I see these lambs gambolling around the place on a bright sunny day, and those first lambs I saw on a very cold wet day walking from Headon on the Wall seem a world away. I'm at Willowford, where the wall crosses the River Irving. It's important for a number of reasons. It's the area where the two bits of wall finally met up. The Romans started building a stone masonry wall from Newcastle running towards the west, and a turf wall, a turf defence was built coming from the east, from Barrow-in-Furness, and this is where they met up. This is where they joined, and so the Romans had a complete defence across the entire northern section of their empire. And it was only after this was built that they did further work, transforming the turf defences into masonry defences and building forts and towers along the route. It's also interesting, or it's interesting to me anyway, because I have vague memories of geography lessons in school, that the bridge remains are a very long way away from the river. And that's because the river's moved since Roman times. Think back, think back. Remember you did those lessons on rivers and meanders and oxbow lakes? Well, if you're wondering what to do with your kids, bring them here and you can have a history lesson and a geography lesson all in one go. Or you can just look yourself and enjoy it. It seems that Cumbria has a fair few hills to offer as well. It's not all flat, rolling landscape. There are some sharp inclines, and I'm not to the top of this yet. I'm not sure how much further I've got to go. Perhaps I shouldn't have had such a large breakfast, but I enjoyed it. I've been a member of English Heritage for many years and always get good use out of my card, but this year, gosh, am I getting good value for money. I've now reached Birdoswald Fort, an archaeological site and museum on the wall. There's a huge excavation here and a great museum too, as well as always, a nice cafe and indoor toilets. But great place to visit. Amongst the many buildings is a granary, calling to mind for me the one that I saw at Housesteads. Seeing something that stored so much food, so many provisions, really brings home how many hundreds of people lived in these places. You needed the food to feed them if they were going to carry on doing what they did. And they brought food from such a distance, as well as the provisions they would have collected locally. There was stuff like olive oil and wine from across the empire. So huge communication routes, bringing stuff all the way up here to the very edge of the empire. A glorious view and a very clear sign to people like me to stay away from the edge because there's a sheer drop down. But for the people of Britain who found themselves living alongside and conquered by the Romans, having an enormous structure like this standing up on this high point must have been so intimidating. And I am just now feeling totally bedazzled. After the last few days, I thought, right, today's going to be a quieter day, today's going to be nice walking, but it goes on and on. The archaeology just keeps jumping out at you, the wall, the other structures around it, and you think this whole construction is immense. And to just consider the amount of power and work and resources and everything that went into constructing it and maintaining it, it really is overwhelming. Having said that, I find it overwhelming, but I've just met, it must have been the fourth group of people from America in 2 days who've been overwhelmed, not by the wall, but by the lambs. We have lambs in this country, and at this time of year they are wonderful. They're wonderful to watch. So, who cares if you've got a World Heritage status nature monument by your ankles, you've got some really cute sheep just a few foot away, and they're the ones you'll look at and remember in years to come. And I'll remember them too. There's not much wall to see now, but there are still malcastles cropping up at regular intervals, 1,000 paces, marking the progress I'm making as I walk along. But this is just beautiful landscape to stride out in, to look around and enjoy, especially on a day like today. And I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but over there in the southwest, glistening in the sun, you can see the snow on top of the peaks in the Lake District. And you can hear a lamb. You're walking on your own. You're walking on your own.
I'm walking on my own. This is my first long distance. I've done a lot of hiking. I grew up in Alaska, so I've done a lot of hiking, but I haven't done something like this.
Something like this, yeah, with the history. You did surprise me this morning because you were talking about bears where you live and in Alaska, and then you told me you were a bit scared about cows. Now,
that's so true. I'm so afraid of these cows. I feel like bears, they're predictable, but cows, I just don't know. They're just big, and they're just going to be curious, and they're just going to come over to you.
Right. Yes, I think like I don't like cows, but I think I'd rather cows than bears. Oh, so do you think you've got the long distance path bug now?
Yes, I'm addicted. Actually, this whole day I've been thinking, oh, I could have gone further. I could have gone further today, and therefore further the next year. So I'm definitely going to follow your vlog because I want to see other paths that you've taken and maybe follow your lead.
But don't follow my lead. But you walk on your own. You walk on your own, and you're happy walking on your own.
I am. I don't really think there's anyone I would invite to walk with me. I think I really enjoy my own company and what there's to see.
Yeah. I was talking to a woman in the Lake District last week who also walks on her own. She said about if you walk on your own, you can stop when you want to. Yeah. You can walk when you want to. Yeah.
Yep.
It's,
eat when you want to. Yeah. Sleep in when you want to.
Yeah, and apart from bears and cows and things, and they're not gender specific, are they?
No.
No.
That's the biggest worry is, okay, what's the wildlife that you're dodging?
Well, I'll finish by saying no one's told you about adders yet, but you can find out about those another time. And thanks for talking to me and good luck on your walk.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye. There's not so much of the wall to see now, as years of ploughing and farming have gradually removed it and it's disappeared into the general landscape. But it's still possible to see the ditch, to see the vallum. So it's still here alongside me, keeping me company. I'm really pleased to see that sign because I'm running terribly behind today. I'm supposed to be arriving at Carlisle by the end of today, and I keep stopping to look at things and to talk to people. I must stop doing this, otherwise it'll be dark before I get there, but I don't really care. So having said I'm not going to do any more stopping because I'm running late, I've met two lovely people who are walking the walk. So do you often do this sort of thing, or is this, are you...
It's our first walking holiday.
Yeah, first walking holiday, but we do walk a lot at the weekends.
Yeah,
you walk along the weekend.
So often we go away and stay in cottages and go for walks sort of round from the cottage and that for the day. But this is the first time we've sort of walked a set walk.
Sort of day after day after day. How are your feet after the first day?
Fine,
Yeah. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. What you like on hills? Do you live somewhere where there aren't any?
Or... No, we're quite a hilly area we come from, isn't it? So should be all right.
Oh, you'll be
Fingers
fine.
crossed.
You'll be fine. Sometimes I talk to people who come from the south and they're not used to hills at all, and they find it hard. Oh, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to really enjoy it. So any highlights you're looking forward to?
Vinderlanda.
Oh, you're going to Vinderlanda. Mm.
Vinderlanda and the Roman Army Museum as well. I think we're going to have a look at.
Yeah, I went there yesterday. It's really worth it. I wish I'd gone there before I started, because it then sort of everything makes sense after you've seen that. Yeah, so you'll enjoy that. Well, I won't keep you any longer, but thanks for talking to me. Thank you. Bye bye. Ta-ta. Despite my things, I'm not going to stop and talk to people. I've got a gentleman here who's sitting on the wall but not walking it because he lives locally, and another gentleman who is walking the wall.
Walking the wall.
Yeah, walking the. You're what?
Having a walk.
You're having a walk as well, but you're not walking at the moment. It's that time of day. Yeah, I'm just giggling now.
Yeah.
So, how far have you walked today?
Not very far. I believe 10 kilometers. I don't know
Oh,
what that is.
I don't know what that is in miles.
Just getting started.
Ah, just getting started.
Yeah, that's
So why walk the wall? What's inspired you?
We've done a lot of hiking in Luxembourg, in Belgium.
Mm.
So I discovered hiking, honestly, when the pandemic started.
Yeah.
And I just found the transportation part of traveling even more interesting than the traveling itself, if you could say.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really nice way to travel and to kind of take the pace of everyday life here.
Yeah, that's good. That's why I like it too. So where do you live?
When I'm not walking the wall.
When you're not walking the wall.
Then I live in Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
Denmark, yeah.
So lovely place to live. Lovely place to live. But this is lovely too. So I'd better go, otherwise I'll never get to Carlisle. But thank you for talking to me, and thank you for talking to me too. Thank you. Bye bye. And I'm going to be saying goodbye to the wall itself here, because the trail leaves it and goes down towards the River Eden and follows the river into Carlisle. But it's only a temporary goodbye. I'll be walking alongside it again on my final day, so I needn't feel too panicked or too sad at not having it by my side anymore. I will see it again. We will meet again. Well, I've covered a fair few miles today, but when I see the size of this river compared with that tiny little beck I saw this morning, and think that it's travelled as far from the watershed as I have this morning, then it makes me realise how much I've achieved in my way. The noise you can hear in the background is the M6, and I've just got a few more miles to go now to take me into Carlisle. I have a photograph of this bridge taken when I walked Hadrian's Wall with my son all those years ago, and it's lovely seeing it, partly because it reminds me of that time, and partly because it means I finally arrived in Carlisle. Well, I've just got a short walk now to my B&B in Carlisle, and I've got to confess that my plans for today have gone completely awry. I've needed to walk, about 20 miles today, and when I thought about it, I thought, well, that's fine, because I regularly do that amount on the North York Moors, no problem. And I thought, it's going to be flat, there's nothing really interesting in this stretch of the walk, I'll do it a dot. In fact, the only reason I booked accommodation tonight rather than just hopping on the train home is because I want to go to the museum tomorrow in Carlisle. There's a special exhibition on because it's an anniversary of Hadrian's Wall. So I want to go and see that. Dogs just came to say hello. Say hello. I'm in a park. That's what happens. But there's been so much to see today. So much archaeology. It's been incredible. Not just the brilliant museum at Birdoswald, but walking all along, you just know that you're walking sometimes on top of the vallum with the ditch at your side, so that the wall really is there with you, even though you haven't got, the masonry that I've had previously. And it felt quite sad when I waved it bye-bye, and I'm glad I'm going to get back on my final day. But also, I've met so many brilliant people today. All these people out walking the wall from all over the place. And it's not just that I stop and talk to them, honest. They stop and talk to me as well. Long distance paths are really sociable things to do. People want to chat with you along the way, to sometimes exchange grisly tales of their blisters and their aches and so forth, but more often to talk about who they are, where they've come from, why they're doing the walk, what they've seen, what they're looking forward to. It's a really sociable way to spend some days, and I'm loving it. So I'm going to go now and find my hotel. I always get lost in towns. I'm far better on mountains. And have a good night's sleep, go to the exhibition tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to the last day.